In this demo, I'm going to go over the criteria for your final project. I do have a sample file here that I'm going to use to demonstrate with. So why don't I just do a test movie and run it, and I'll talk around that, and then I'll go around a couple of the particulars how it was built. So I'm just going to do a test movie on my keyboard here, and I'll make this a little bit bigger here. Alright, so basically I want you to have a menu that can bring you to 3 different pages, if you will. They're not actually pages, but they give the illusion of pages. This in fact all runs on one frame here in the host file. The way this is going to work is similar to our jukebox project, where we will import external movies through a loader. So why don't I just demonstrate that. I do want you to have a menu that has animated submenu items animating, coming in any way you like, and then when you roll off of the menu, they also animate backwards the way they came in. Now you can do this visually any way you want, I guess, but as long as you have the 3 items on the screen so that I can select them as buttons, as you see here. Again, if I roll away, they do retract. Okay, so why don't I start with the first one here, nested animation. So you will need to have an external file demonstrating a nested animation with some interactivity, as you see here. And I've got a simple I don't know what you call this, but a gizmo, and I'm just going to stop the yellow element, and I'm going to stop the green element, and then I start it again with the start buttons. So this is one demonstration of controlling nested elements, and brought in again through the loader from an external file, an SWF file. Now you notice on the screen I have a clear screen button in the top left, and I also want you to put your name in the upper right. So the clear screen button would actually delete whatever was loaded in the loader, so it clears the screen, as you see here. Again, put your name in the upper right corner. The clear screen button doesn't need to look like this, just needs to function like this. Doesn't need to be in the upper corner either, just somewhere on the page that makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my menu, and I'll pick the second element, which again is an external SWF file, and it's demonstrating a song with a progress bar, which is what I asked for. Okay, so if I don't want to listen to all of that, I can go to clear screen and eliminate it. I also want it, let me go back here, and I'll go back to the song. You can also eliminate it by going to another menu item, and it's replaced. Okay, so I'm going to go to the third menu item now, which is called counter. And in this external movie, I want you to demonstrate the ability using variables to create a score counter. You can do a quiz again like you did previously, and that's the assignment that we had used these variables to create a score counter. I just did a simple thing where if you click on this button, it adds to the score in this dynamic text box. I attached a sound. I am asking you to attach a sound to a button somewhere inside of your title. It doesn't need to be here, but somewhere. And you can see that increases the score when I click here. If I click over here, it will decrease the score. It will deduct from the score, and I have allowed it to continue into the negatives, which means I just didn't put a condition that it wouldn't go below 0. Okay, so we've got a dynamic text box here to display a score, and I would advise to embed the font. Sorry, I lost my track there. To embed the font when you create this file. Whatever font you're going to use inside of your dynamic text box, embed that font into the file. So once again, add score, deduct from score. Okay, and I can switch to any other movie, or I can simply clear the screen, starting over from the beginning. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for, something that functions similar to this. So you will have a menu with 3 animated submenu items that are buttons that can be clicked on that ultimately load an external movie, and then you can eliminate those movies either by switching to another item or clicking the clear screen button. And again, I'll reiterate, please put your name in the upper right corner, first name, last name. Okay, so just briefly, I'm going to go through some elements on the file. As you can see here, this is all running in a single frame as a host file. You will have external files. Let me go see if I can find those. So I'm just going to go out and show you the directory structure here. go over here, and I believe I have it. Get my exercise folder, and let me just focus on the folder. So your final folder should look like this, and I'll ask you to zip this up when you hand it in. Here is my main file, and then the files, or here's my main file rather, and then the external files are here, and you will have to create an SWF for those to play inside of your host file. Okay, so let me go back here, and I'll talk a little bit about the code again. If I go into my actions, one thing I want to emphasize, I'm going to give you a clue here, is I do want the menu to always be on top of all of the imported items. And the way we do that is with an add child command, as you see here. So when you have your add child loader, which is what's bringing in the external files, put an add child instruction directly after that. Give your movie clip an instance name. Mine is menu_MC, and apply it like this. What this will do is the add child repositions it on the stage on top of the pile, basically. So this will ensure that this is always on top of this. Okay, so your menu will remain on top of everything if you include the add child command with the menu instance name inside of the parentheses. One more thing I'm going to point out here. I'm going to go to my frame 25 inside of my menu. This is inside of my menu. Because when you're accessing the loader from inside a movie clip, you're going to have to add the movie clip root dot in front of it, because I do want you to put your loader in frame 1 on your main timeline. Now this line here is optional. You probably won't need it. I was using it to move my loaded file around. In this case, I pushed it over 125 pixels. This is the line if you want to move it around. Okay, likely you won't have to. You should just resize your movies to match the size of your host file. Okay, so again, the main point here is that when you're addressing the loader from inside of the menu, as you can see here, you will need to address where that loader sits, which is on the main timeline. And again, the magic code for that is movie clip brackets root dot, which instructs the movie to go to the main scene 1 timeline and then execute the following code. Okay, so those are the 2 hints I'm going to give you with respect to code. If I go to frame 1 here, again you can see declaring the loader in frame 1 on scene 1 and the added add child to put the menu on top of everything else. Okay, the rest you should be able to figure out on your own based on previous assignments. But that is a roundhouse description, if you will, of what I'm expecting from your final assignment. Again, you'll zip it up and hand that in on Canvas.